Hey advisors, I just wanted to speak to you before you go into your first development class. I've got some bad news and some pretty good news. The bad news is that already in the first week we have had a few complaints about some not terrible behavior, but some pretty toxic masculinity in some of the classrooms. So I wanted to share with you what I do in my classrooms in the first development class, and to see if it's something that maybe you would want to also do if you think it's appropriate. This came up in a Culture and Life meeting, and I shared what I do, and they suggested in this meeting that I share this with you. So take it or leave it. What I do is I in the very first class, I begin with a rules of engagement, a class agreement, which I don't necessarily lead so much. What I do is I facilitate a process where it's a class discussion on what we are going to agree to do and how we're going to agree to treat each other. And so what I do to make it seem like I am not standing up there giving the rules to them is I actually sit with the students and I get one of the other students to stand up and scribe this on the whiteboard. And we talk about a bunch of topics, and we only move onto the next rule once we've got one up there that we all agree to. So this is all about consensus. So the whole group has to have total buy-in to each rule before you move on. I try and keep it, I try and lead potentially if it's going not into the topics that you think it should go into. They might be really superficial at first, but then you can get right into it by just asking provocative questions. And yeah, at the end, what I do is I get them all to sign it. Everyone goes up to the whiteboard, gets their pen, the whiteboard pen, and signs this agreement. Then I take a photo of it, where I actually made it. The students actually made it. They made a Facebook, a WhatsApp group, and they made it the photo of the WhatsApp group. So that's how seriously they take it. It's really good also to refer to it later on during if they break any of those rules. You can bring them up and go, hey, you remember that you agreed to this. And people, if they sign their name on something, they really do, it has an effect on them to whether they think that it's something serious or not. If they just made an agreement or said something, then it's not as serious as signing their name. So, I mean, I don't know if that's going to work for you, but that works really well for me, and it works really well for particularly when actors have to work so intensely collaboratively with each other, when they have to really trust each other, and you know, they have to be super respectful. But based on the complaints that we've had so far, they're only just the tip of something that could get that could go bad quite quickly. So I think getting on top of it really early on would be really good. And also I think that we have an opportunity, this is the good news, we have an opportunity to create culture here. I don't think that culture is something that you can just allow to happen, because it can go any way. But we have a responsibility and an opportunity to really create a thriving culture here that is really supportive and nurturing and friendly and a really good vibe, as opposed to a toxic vibe. So it would be good if you, this takes like 15 minutes. You could do it in 10, maybe like 20. But really it's a nice get to know each other sort of vibe as well. It's like, what are your values? Like, what do you think is important? What do we collectively think is important? We come from different cultures. Let's celebrate that. That's amazing. How about we find what our culture is? How about we define that here for a little bit, so that we know who we are to each other and what your views are and what my views are, and you just get a nutty discussion out of something on how it is that we engage in this sort of DBS environment. So good luck. I hope that is helpful to you, if that works for you. If not, be on the lookout for some behaviors that are already starting. So yeah, cool. Thanks. Have a nice first development session.